Hey guys, welcome back to our Python programming series. We will continue with our Python looping, and this time we'll go ahead and talk about Python control statement. Before we really go ahead and jump into these two Python control statements, which are break and continue, let's understand the need for these control statements. So far, if you notice that the program that we kind of write, it follows a kind of a normal sequence. You start the program, it goes through all the line of the codes. If there is a loop, it'll go ahead and run through the loop, and once the loop is over, it'll go ahead and continue further into the life cycle of your program. But there are maybe some reason or some condition based on that you want to take some action. Let's say, okay, hey, when I enter in string, if you find certain character, I want to exit out from the program. Or let's say when you enter a string, you see some characters are repeating. You don't want those characters to be printed over and over again. Mean just print a unique string without any duplicate characters into them. So there may be some of the reasons where you may find these control statement quite handy. Let me show you these in action. That would make more sense. So let me go ahead and change back to our IDE. So if you take a look at this program, there's nothing special in this program. We are asking user to enter a string. Then the program kind of follows through as a for loop, and then later on go ahead and print a sum statement. So if I have to go and execute this one, it says, okay, hey, enter a string. You enter a string. It went ahead and printed the string, and the program finished. So kind of the program went through its whole life, went through some of the loops and then finishing the end of the program. Let's say based on some condition, you want to terminate your current loop. So if you see in this example, whatever string we are entering, we are printing the whole string in the form of character. And once that is done, only then we are coming out of the string. And once we come out of the string, there are few more lines of code into our program. And this, there is only one print statement. We go ahead and print that. But let's say I'll give you, we say, okay, hey, if into a given or into an entered string, if I find the letter L anywhere, I want to terminate my loop and I just want to come out of the loop. So how would you really do that? In the current program, we don't have that kind of a provision. To really go ahead and do that, we need to make use of our first control statement, which is a break. So we are saying, okay, hey, if in the given string or in the entered string, if the letter is H, I just want to, or the letter is, let's say E, I want to exit out of the loop, stop processing the loop, just come out of the loop and continue rest of the program. So that means now we need to go, before we go ahead and print, or after print or before print, we need to see, okay, if the value of the X is the letter that we are looking, and if that's the case, just come out of the loop. So now we need to test, and we need to do a decision making here. So in the decision making, we are saying, okay, hey, if the value of that I'm printing here and this position, if this position is equals to, let's say, a letter E, and once you encounter letter E, I want to come out of this loop. So we'll go ahead and just type here break. So with the break, we don't have to do any other thing. So if you see what really happened into our existing program, we went ahead and said, okay, hey, the letters we were printing with the help of the index value, if you see the letter being E, just come outside of this, use the break. So what happens as soon as your program encounters a break, it will exit out of your current loop and it will come outside of the loop. So in this case, if you see, the loop is really from line number 3 to line number 6. If I go ahead and, so this is the loop. So if the system encounters this break, it will come outside of this loop, but it will continue executing the rest of the line of the code. Let's go ahead and rerun this program one more time, and let's go ahead and run. System is asking us to enter some value. So I'll go ahead and enter here hello. So if you really see what happened, instead of printing the whole string this time, our program only printed first letter E, and then after that nothing, and then it only printed the last line, which is end of program. So what happened? Let's take a closer look. So we entered hello. So now my string has a value being hello. So we are taking the first character out. In this case, it's H. We are saying, hey, is H equals to E? No, H is not equals to E. That means the if statement was false, and we went and just printed the value, which is being H. Now the for loop picks up the next character into the string, which is E. Now here we are verifying, is E equals to E? And that is the case. Yes. Now the my string X has a value of E, which is equals to the letter E. But in this case, this expression is true. So we went and executed the break statement. As soon as the program encountered the break statement, it just came out of the loop. So that means we went ahead and exited the loop. We didn't do any further processing. So we never went to this print statement or onto the top of the loop. As soon as this break was seen, we just exited this whole loop and we came down to line number 7. So line number 7 was really the empty, and the line number 8, we had this print statement. So we went ahead and executed this line of the code, and after there was no further code, so our program exited. So that's the whole idea behind break. If you want to terminate your program, or if you need to come out of your loop prematurely based on some condition, you can go ahead and make use of the break statement. Now let's go ahead and probably rerun this program, and we can So if you see in the first part, there was no E, so our for while for loop or the for loop continued, and as soon as we encountered E, we came out of the loop. If you see after this H, we didn't print any ELLO, so that was the last H, and we just came out of the loop. The good thing about these control statements are applicable to both the loops, so you can use the same syntax with your while loop as well as with your for loop. That's the whole idea behind your break statement. There is another control statement which is your continue. So if you see what's happening in the case of break, we are saying, okay, hey, if you encounter this, just come outside of the loop. But there may be a situation where if you encounter certain thing, you don't want to exit the program, but you don't want to continue further processing the rest of the commands inside your for loop. You just want the control to return back onto the top of your for loop. So what I mean, let's go ahead and now probably edit this program. I'm going to go ahead and remove this statement, and let's go ahead and execute potentially this program. So this program again is probably, if I say hello, this program is printing the same hello and it's coming out of the loop. If we have to make is the continue, let's understand with the help of an example. I want to into a given string or into a particular string that we are entering, if you see a duplicate letter, if you take an example hello, we see the L is being repeated twice. We say if you see any letter that is being entered twice, just only print one time. Don't print this letter twice. So let me go ahead and edit this program. So what are we verifying here? Hey, we need to verify if the previous letter and the next letter, if both the values are equal, then just don't print. Means only print first time, but let's say you print the letter HEL, but if you see again L, that means if the previous letter and the current letter are same, then just don't do any action, just move on to the loop. So if you see with the current program, we entered hello, it went ahead and printed the whole hello. So now we are making use of the continuous statement here. So if I'm going to say here, I can say, hey, if my string, that means current one. So that means if my current value, so my current value, let's say in this case is, we are on this L. If my current value is equals to my previous value. So how do I find out my previous value? Again, if I say my string, we are verifying my string x. X says my current value, but we need to go to the previous value. So I can say x minus 1. So that means if my current value is equals to my previous value, we just don't want to do any action. We can say continue. So what happens in this case? Let me go ahead and execute this program first, and then I will go ahead and explain you everything one more time. So let's go ahead and execute this program, and I went ahead and entered hello this time. But if you see on the output, we are printing HELO. So instead of printing L twice, we just printed L once. So what happens? So in this case, let's skip all the HE and let's come down to only the first L part. So now the X has a value of L. So we are saying the L, now the my string X is L equals to X minus 1. So X minus 1 is E. Is L and E are equal? No, they are not equal. So we never went inside the if block. We just went ahead and continued our 4 line of code, which is the print. So we went ahead and printed this L here. And now we went back onto the top of our for loop, which is the line number 3. In this case, now the X will have the next element from the string. So now the next element in the string is also L. So now we are verifying, hey, if my string X, so now my value is L, is equals to my string X minus 1. So my X minus 1 was the previous L. We are verifying the current value with the previous value. Is this value are equal? If these values are equal, now in this case the statement is true, because my current value is also L and my previous value was also, or when I say my value, the index position or the letter was also the L in this case. So this statement in this case is true, and because the statement was true, we went and executed the code inside the if block, and within the if block we are only saying continue. So what happens in the continue, as soon as the system encounters the continue, so without processing anything further down, that means the continue is on line number 5, so it will not go ahead and process anything after line number 5. The control will immediately be returned to onto the top of the for loop. So that means as soon as system sees the continue, it will go back onto the line number 2. So that means we didn't go ahead and process this printf statement within our loop. We just simply transferred the control from this line, which is line number 5, back to the line number 3, which is our for loop. Now the X will have the next element or the next character from the string, which is O, and in this case we are verifying, okay, is O equals equals to the previous element was L. Is O and L equals? No, they are not equals. That means we never went inside the for loop. We just printed the my string X, which is O, and we went ahead and printed O, and we reached the end of the string. There's no more to process. We gracefully exit out of the for loop or come out of the for loop, and then we continue with the rest of our program. Line number 7 is empty. On the line number 8, we are just printing end of program. And that's how you can make use of the continue statement. Hopefully you get the idea behind the for loop, your break and the continue. If you want to come out based on certain condition, you can go ahead and make use of the break. If you just wants to don't process anything further, just want to go on top of your for loop based on certain condition, you can go ahead and make use of your continue. So these are two most popular control statements that you can use. And again, both the break and continue you are free to use with while as well as with the for loop. That'll be for this episode. I will see you guys in the next episode. Thank you.